I've been back from Massachusetts for 3 days.
Yeah, I was going to say you were there on the weekend.
That's
it's
a
now
long
Wednesday.
I'm in the shower this morning and I thought that I had like a scab on the back of my neck.
No.
Oh,
And then
no.
I pull it out to see what the fuck it was, and it's a tick.
Oh,
So I've got like a full-on bite mark behind my ear
Oh,
right now.
no.
Did you get like all the pieces of the tick off when you picked it off, or?
So here's the fun part. I went to the doctor because I
Gross.
wasn't sure if the bite was the bullseye thingy or
Yeah.
not. And she said, number one, they can't do anything because it's too soon.
Yeah.
Have to wait like 72 hours. It didn't
Yeah.
have the bullseye mark. She said, it is a little bit raised. And I said, okay, do you need to like check and see if there's still tick parts in it? She goes, well, that's the other thing. We can't really dig. So if I'd seen like a leg sticking out of it, I would have pulled it out, but I didn't.
So
So,
disgusting.
so I may still have a tick part in my neck. It's possible.
Gross.
Oh my God, this is how you become like a supervillain. You were gonna like
Yeah.
grow
Your body will just
gross little legs.
Your
Yeah.
body will just absorb it.
It's even worse. Don't say
or-
things like that.
or you could put like a piece of duct tape over it.
Protein.
And then it'll just get bigger.
Alex, you're already a supervillain. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yes, join our insectoid crew.
The good part
my
is
God.
that I'm hoping that it actually just jumped off me from Rufus while I was giving him a bath yesterday.
Oh, that's
Oh.
It
possible.
wasn't very engorged, but I will say that I had given Rufus the tick stuff, the tick medication a week before that's supposed to make the ticks not want to be on him. So apparently it works because the tick didn't want to be on him.
Be on
So it
you.
moved. Yeah.
Oh man.
No, this is legitimately one of the reasons I don't go outside.
we we
That-
get really checked over for
Yeah,
ticks.
we're always, I mean, we
Yeah.
grew up on the Cape where it's like Lyme disease central. So
Yeah.
we have been
Absolutely.
trained to like pull our socks over our trousers and
We had our friends check ourselves.
Always.
We had to check each other. And when we went to the seashore,
Mhm.
we did this whole like
there was a spot check. Everybody had to
everybody
go
would
through.
do a spot check, and everybody would have to check each other and like check the back of your hair, check the back of your ears.
Yeah.
So I thought I had checked him thoroughly, but I never thought to check myself because I wasn't outside that long.
Yeah.
So that's
Um,
what I get.
What if you
Ticks are the
get
worst.
that allergy where you're allergic to red meat that ticks can cause?
That's not such a big deal. I only eat red meat.
Dana's not a big steak eater.
Yeah.
Sure, but like
That would be
devote your entire
heart-wrenching
life
for
having
me.
a
Yeah,
little
Alex loves
burger?
burgers. It would have been like the worst.
I can totally survive. Turkey burgers are fine.
Oh, that's not true at all.
I agree.
That is
Bryce.
false.
They're not the same.
I'm glad you survived the wilderness, Dana.
I'm glad you survived the wilderness.
Speaking of wilderness,
Yes. Speaking of wilderness, wilderness girls. The entire movie, I just kept seeing Tim Curry in my head saying wilderness girls. Welcome to You're No Fun Anymore, the podcast where we deal with our nostalgia. I'm Randall.
I'm the tick bite, formerly known as Dana.
I'm the super grossed out person, formerly known as Bryce.
I'm super villain Alexandra, I guess.
And I'm really, really hoping Dana develops some kind of like crazy powers. And my name is Helen.
Like you didn't even have a name anywhere. Like, no, this is it. This is my new stand.
I'm fully embracing this insectoid life that she's going to take on.
And it's khaki wishes and cookie dreams because we are covering Troop Beverly Hills, or the cookies are in the bell jar.
Okay.
That was a stretch. I would also take Den Mother Under the Influence, or Phyllis from Dior to Evian.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah,
Valley of the Cookies.
yeah, Valley of the yeah. I was trying to
Cookies
make
in the
something a
attic?
bell jar and cookies in the bell jar, and it
Yeah.
just wasn't fucking clicking.
Into the wilderness girls.
Well, into the yellow wallpaper of your Louis Vuitton pop tent. Yeah, this is Troop Beverly Hills.
Phyllis Neffler's life was a symphony of spending
I started my new meaningful life today, and I bought a whole new meaningful wardrobe to go with it.
until her husband stopped the music.
You never give me an ounce of credit for anything I do.
That's because you never do anything.
Well, then I guess I'm going to do something right now.
Approve.
Mom's gonna be our new troop leader.
Who are you? Phyllis Neffler, Troop Beverly Hills.
Now she's changing her style
Well, girls, are you ready to rough it?
from Rodeo Drive
I can't let you take the girls out there alone. Why not?
Because you get lost in your walk-in closet.
to Cookie Drives.
That jamboree thing sounds fabulous. My troop is definitely going. What is a jamboree?
From room
Is
service
this what you call roughing it? One bathroom for 9 people? Yes.
to public service.
Today I am here to demonstrate for you CPR. Lie down and open your mouth.
Last time I did this, I got more than a patch for it.
And from high society
Do you like people to call you dictator or just Dick?
To high adventure.
I'm sure it's very nice to know how to live in the forest and eat bark. You can prance these little princesses through Beverly Hills all you want. But you will never really be a real wilderness girl. We'll be fine. We're through Beverly Hills.
Shelly Long.
What an adventure. Isn't nature fabulous, girls?
Troop Beverly Hills. She's not a babe in the woods.
Can we just quit now?
Not until we sing Kumbaya.
Content warning. This selected film may contain scenes depicting the following: drinking, excessive smoking, rampant male mediocrity, inordinate innuendo by adults and children, child endangerment, ableist humor, body shaming, physical violence, mild language, repeated racial stereotypes, implied animal brutality, class disparagement, capitalist avarice, Evian addiction, stolen valor, and excessive glamping. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast. Wow.
Oh, there's two distinct camps here. Camps.
There are two distinct camps, and
Well,
I'm going to tell you.
I still love it.
Speaking of camp, holy
This
camp.
movie hit me in that super sweet spot of like
nostalgia.
pure Columbia grade nostalgia. Like this was like uncut nostalgia.
So
You
I was
know?
expecting that because I was obsessed with this movie. Like, when did this come out? When I was like 7 to 9.
And reignited that like childhood aspirations.
Mhm.
You know, those little girl things I wanted when I was a little girl and I didn't get, and I saw them on screen and I wanted them so bad.
Well, I thought Shelly Long as Diane in Cheers was the most beautiful, perfect woman that had
Dana's
ever
like, no.
existed.
So
I don't judge me.
glamorous.
Don't
so
judge me.
elegant, so classy.
But my Barbies were all named Diane.
Totally.
Like, she was just like dreams.
Her
for me.
fucking name is classy.
Yeah,
Her-
everything about her was
The
was
steak version of her is delicious.
The gauze filter that they use on her is stunning.
like
Mm.
so I was obsessed with this movie because I got more Diane. I was always team Diane.
And in this one, you get Teen Diane and all her outfits. It's like
Those outfits.
Holy
I would
God.
still wear 90% of those.
Oh
dresses.
my God.
I want
Incredible.
all of
Yeah.
those clothes.
everything.
The bird,
I
the
knew you were gonna
raven
talk
bird thing, brooch she has that's like flowing off her shoulder. I want that.
All
I mean,
the capes, guys.
I'm a huge
All the
fan
capes.
of the dress she wears to the party.
The
Oh,
one where she falls in the
yeah.
pool, or the other
The
part?
cotton candy dress is amazing.
Yes.
it looks
Totally.
She looks like a cupcake.
However, the dress that Mary Gross wears at that party, inappropriate for a children's movie.
Right up here. She's
What?
got her boobs on a shelf.
What?
You know, I hear children like boobs. Actually,
Hey,
I
she
hear
got
they're like.
that got her dances with both Cheech Marin and Ted McGinley.
McGinley,
So,
Yeah.
you know, there you go. Yeah. So, oh my God, I was not prepared for some of this movie.
I mean, I have seen, I must have seen it most recently. I've seen it was maybe when it was on Netflix.
Mm.
Yeah, that was probably the 30th anniversary or so.
And I can still recite it. I was saying the lines before the actors were.
The march is embedded deep in my memory.
Sure,
Like
but
that is like just
Fight scene at the beginning between Shelley Long and Craig T. Nelson. I was repeating that.
Mhm.
I still love this movie. It is just like that. Like Helen was saying, it's like
Dana-
the perfect sweet spot of camp.
Dana, we're with
child
you.
memories.
I am
I was
betrayed.
laughing.
My
I was-
nostalgia is betrayed by this watching of this.
Oh, I was
Um,
laughing. I was literally laughing out loud. Shelley Long's comic chops are.
Oh, she's.
I have a
she's
lot
genius.
of thoughts about her comic. Randall, so we watched a boy movie last time. This is a girl movie.
This
what do
was
you
actually
as the
it's,
boy have to say?
Yeah, what are
well,
your
see,
feelings as the boy?
So for me, I was always a huge fan of Shelley Long, and this for me, like, I grew up watching Cheers, and I loved her as a physical performer and her expressions, the ways that she can emote in this, like, it's like 1,000 things going on at once. So I remember watching this on video when I was younger, mostly because I was in love with her from like The Money Pit.
Oh, the money pit.
Money pit.
Yeah,
so
and
good in The Money Pit.
Outrageous Fortune, where she was with Bette Midler. There was this brief little window where she was the
It woman.
actress.
Yeah.
The comedic actress.
Unfortunately,
And-
led her down a really stupid path.
Yeah, it kind
Well,
of fell
I
apart
think-
after that.
I think Goldie Hawn took her career, or her potential career.
Goldie Hawn
Well-
had a career before Shelley Long
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
No, I know, but there can only, of course, in this time period, be one funny blonde lady in Hollywood.
I
And
think
Yeah.
I could argue that Goldie Hawn and Shelley Long occupied two different spaces. Shelley Long was
Yeah.
Gets.
Some version of me transplanted Shelly Long into Death Becomes Her, and I'm like, this makes sense.
I could see that.
I do, but it's that kind of like
it's the ditzy but not.
Well, it's what she does is she takes like elitism to the absolute extreme of buffoonery. You know, so this like high class, but it's actually ridiculous high class.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole
make to Goldie Hawn is Private Benjamin. It's a very similar character to Private Benjamin.
She also like Overboard, the Goldie Hawn and Overboard. I could have seen her in that role too.
Also, that movie. Woo. We'll get into that in another episode. But I think for me, this was a Shelly Long vehicle that I just kind of glossed over. All the edges were smoothed out, and all I remember was Cookie Time and the Freddie.
Yep.
The only reason I remember the goddamn dance was this movie. And then watching it now,
there's so much.
Helen was like, why
there's some
does the
good
Freddie
stuff here. There's
exist?
some really, really, really good stuff here. But then it is just, oh boy, overshadowed by some.
I acknowledge that this movie is clunky as hell.
Yeah.
And it is a very children's movie. It should be a children's movie, but it's also this weirdly adult movie about divorce. But that doesn't stop me from loving it.
Yeah.
And I think even if I saw it today, not having seen it as a kid, I would still enjoy it because it's got the level of camp that I kind of gravitate.
It is very campy. It's
Honestly,
very campy.
I regret rewatching it because it has the golden memory I had of it has been tarnished by the year 2022.
You know what? You know what kind of like disappointed me was how many like time sensitive jokes there were in there. There was too much like topical humor.
Oh, it was crazy.
Does not communicate into 2022.
2022
you know?
doesn't remember who Pia Zadora is.
Yeah. Or Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Dr. Joyce Brothers.
Or even like Robin Leach. What is his name? I don't even fucking remember his name.
This is also, well, okay, we're going to get into this later because we should set up the fact of the reason why this feels the way it does is because this is the year 1989. Oh boy, is it 1989. It is Cookie Time, not to be actually confused with the other film, 1989, Cookie. That's Emily Lloyd, Peter Falk, and Diane Weiss. It's it's fun. But no, so the year is 1989. The 60s icon, the Beach Boys, released their 26th and to this point, probably the most embarrassing album they've ever released, Still Cruisin', based on the strength of their single from the previous year, Kokomo, which was featured in the film Cocktail.
And was on the radio all the time. Fucking time.
I love that song.
I'm with you, Alex.
It's in my brain, but Mike Love makes me.
Just bring me some Mai Tais and that song, and I'll be on a beach.
It's not a Beach Boy song, though.
I know
Anyway,
it's not.
most of this album would consist of soundtrack cuts or re-releases of their old songs. Literally, they just put their old songs because they'd been featured in a lot of movies like Lethal Weapon 2, Good Morning Vietnam, Soul Man, The Big Chill, etc., etc. This did have Kokomo and the song featured in True Beverly Hills, and also a truly unlistenable version of Wipeout where they did a duo with the Fat Boys.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh man, they were really trying to be relevant. Okay, I'm gonna fuck this up. The bizcochito, the delicious crumbly cinnamony cookie treat that has its roots all the way back to the 16th century as a hybrid of the native Pueblo population's cuisine and the Spanish colonists that came in the Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico, is officially recognized this year by the state of New Mexico as its state cookie. This also means that it is the first state to actually have an official cookie.
What's New York State cookie?
Black and white
the
cookie.
black and white.
There were
Never
actually
mind.
only one other state that has an official state cookie, and is Massachusetts.
Fig Newton.
No, they're boring old chocolate chip cookie just because it was invented there in
Oh, come
1938.
on. The Fig Newton was invented in Newton, Massachusetts.
The Fig Newton was invented in Newton, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
I
well,
declare the black and white cookie the cookie of New York.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
I
claiming
would-
it now.
yeah, I would also
Agree.
agree with that. In Los Angeles, in order to maintain its title as the premier shopping center of the city, Beverly Hills would open up its $130 million development project of the European-inspired pedestrian-only shopping street, 2 Rodeo Drive. This features storefronts from Versace, Tiffany & Company, Lanvin, Jimmy Choo, among other high-end retailers. Speaking of which, wealth inequality continues to its massive upward trend, with the top 10% of Americans owning about 67% of all wealth, in comparison to the bottom 50%, representing over 46 million Americans at this time, owning less than 3% of total wealth.
Good thing that didn't keep up, because that would be scary.
According to a study from Berkeley and 2P Research, at this time, the richest 5% had 114 times as much wealth as the families in the second quintile, which is one tier above the poorest 20%. By the way, that ratio has well more than doubled by the last recording part of this in 2016, which is probably even just worse now. In 33 states, the population of children living in poverty would rise to 11.2 million children, which was around 18% of U.S. children were living in poverty in 1989. That was an increase of over 1.1 million in comparison to the previous decade.
This is kind of a bummer set of facts.
Yes, but we're getting well, this isn't actually into Betty. We're getting into marriage stuff. The tumultuous tabloid fodder marriage between actress Robin Givens and the current heavyweight champion Mike Tyson is finalized on Valentine's Day this year. Givens filed the divorce the previous year, citing physical abuse. She, of course, had been the target. She was once called the most hated woman in America. And a CNN poll at the time registered that 93% of respondents blamed Givens for the divorce.
Wow.
Glad that didn't change, right? This was also the same year that Tyson had an interview in a book where he said that, quote, "That was the best punch I ever thrown in my entire life," when he's admitted to hitting her.
Asshole.
Yeah, he's kind of gross.
He's not. Yeah.
But positive. John Bon Jovi would also marry this year to his high school sweetheart, Dorothea Hurley, at the Graceland Chapel in Las Vegas, and
they're still
they
together,
are
right?
Still married to this day. So,
I mean, God bless Bon
there you
John,
go.
Bon. John,
There's
Bon,
a reason.
John, there's a
Bon Jovi.
Wait, I think I'm having a stroke.
I think you might be.
John Bon Jovi.
Smell toast.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
See, so there you go. Sometimes it works. Not for Courtney Love, who also got married this year in Las Vegas to singer James Moreland, and then they got it annulled 3 months later.
I don't care.
Finally, Marcia Griffiths would go on to score a top 100 hit with her remix of the cover of Electric Boogie.
Nice.
Originally written for her by Bunny Wailer and recorded in 76 and then again in 83. This 1989 remix is the one, of course, that everybody thinks of, mostly because this is what rocketed the electric slide into mainstream culture.
I still don't know how to do the electric slide.
Yeah, I kind of fake
Every
it.
single bar and bat mitzvah I went to.
I know it's at every wedding.
I
but
can do the Cupid Shuffle. The Cupid Shuffle is my dance.
It doesn't actually matter that you probably don't know it, because according to the choreographer of the original dance, no one does it his way, because his way is a 22-step dance where everybody has learned the 18. And he actually, it's a real weird rabbit hole. This guy's name's Rick Silver. He was literally suing people over the dance, and then got sued himself about the different versions because he was so hell-bent that his version was the right version.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his website is still like GeoCities quality. It's great.
Nice.
You should check it out. But the electric slide would be listed as the #1 dance for the next decade in Line Dancer magazine, apparently.
Oh man, I need to subscribe to Line Dancer.
Yeah, right. So this is
Frank
what
is not dead, Bryce.
And speaking of ridiculous dances from decades ago that you have no idea how they ingrained in your consciousness, everybody do the Freddie. March 24th, 1989. This film did not do well. Troop Beverly Hills came out and opened at number 7 with just over 2.2 million. It was also because they only put it in less than 1,000 theaters, so I don't think they had a lot of faith in this. The only other weekend newcomers that it was going up against was Don Johnson's gritty action cop thriller, Dead Bang.
I hadn't even
Dead Bang. I'm sorry.
Like the worst porn.
It's called Dead Bang.
Dead Bang.
I
Yeah.
think
Wow.
I've
I
seen
haven't
that
even heard
for
of
like
this movie.
an Amazon single for 99 cents.
That
It
sounds like a straight to video.
No, it
Yeah.
sounds like one of those fake films that you see in the background of
No,
a real
that-
film, like as a fake poster.
Also starring Don Johnson.
That was Don Johnson, man. And Robert Englund's directorial debut, 976 Evil.
Or that sounds like something that Elaine would have gone to in Seinfeld instead of like Schindler's List. Yeah.
There you go. Topping out the top 5 this weekend would be the subpar sequel Fletch Lives, holding number 1 for a second week in a row. The re-release of Disney's The Rescuers.
Oh,
Rain Man in its 15th week is still at number 3.
Rain Man.
Rain
Wow.
Man. Inner City School biopic, Lean on Me, of course, and then the underwater creature feature Leviathan. This year also had just a ridiculous glut of like underwater weirdness with The Abyss, Deep Star 6, Lords of the Deep. Yeah.
Abyss.
Yeah, overall, it would only make 8.5, and against its $18 million budget, that ain't good. However,
I can
however, the longevity this film would see was always on home video and cable broadcast. It was literally the sleepover hit of the decade.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely watched it as a sleepover. Definitely.
But yeah, man.
I want to know what Bryce's problem with it. Like what has turned you against it?
I mean, just being an adult watching a movie for kids, like so Craig T. Nelson is the worst.
He's the worst. I get so mad that she gets back with him.
I mean, he has no redeeming
qualities.
He doesn't
have any growth.
He doesn't have a story. He doesn't have a growth.
I also was like, what? I was like, again, as an adult watching, I found it crazy inappropriate the way that she unloaded on all these kids about her insecurities and her like she was a terrible role model. She was a terrible leader.
I don't think she's that bad of a leader. I think she's like very insecure in her own situation.
100%. And I'm like, she clearly doesn't have any friends in her life.
I actually really got really defensive about Shelly Long when Velda was like harassing her and saying that these patches were fake. And I'm like, sorry, how is community service a bad
they
patch?
went to like a nursing
They
home.
went to a nursing home and helped the elderly have a good time. That's not a bad thing to teach children.
You want a bad role model. Velda was like,
and
that's children endangering children. Like,
I think ultimately that was one of my biggest problems. Like, why did this movie need that source of conflict? Why does every movie in the 80s and 90s about women have to pit them against each other
apart?
I mean, it could have been like a no villain type of movie,
but also,
where they're pit against like nature or how hard it is to do nature stuff when you're from Beverly Hills.
But it does pit them together too, because
I was about to say,
what's her name?
Yeah, Velda's terrible, but then Mary Gross.
Mary Gross,
a friend.
How she becomes more confident through Shelly Long's encouragement and like kindness.
Just like
she learns to be a better person herself, and like why she joined the organization in the first place. You know, she's like, this is about helping children, doing better for society. I get very emotional about the Wilderness Girls.
And the girls never turn against each other.
The girls never turn against each other.
The girls were like a prop to Shelley Long's story.
No, I think
again, why was this a kid's movie?
No, I think at first they are that. It's like a project that she's using instead of therapy.
No, I meant as characters. Like they have their shtick, and that is what they do as characters. And they're all just propping up Shelley Long's growth as because the narrative of the movie.
But because she like the whole point is like she goes from being like a shallow, do nothing kind of person to somebody who finds their strength in like their kindness, their kind of like empathy, which I think are great values to kind of, you know.
Also, the thing that I appreciate about this movie as an adult, number one, I was a brownie and a Girl Scout for
something I have always wanted to be
through elementary school, and I was bad at it. Like it is not an organization for introverts. It's an organization that is meant for extroverts. It's an organization that's meant for people that enjoy being outdoors. I am none of these things. However, Troop Beverly Hills, I totally would have joined.
You would have been you would have shined in Troop Beverly Hills.
And I feel like it was part of why I loved it is the message that you don't have to be that girl, like you don't have to be a part of this kind of organization. You can be yourself and figure out a way to make it work for you, which I think was actually a good message.
And I think that's a message I took. And honestly, I have no idea why I adored this movie as a kid, because I had nothing in common with these girls. I came from a blue collar family.
So did we.
I was like, at this age, I was living in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. So I'd never even been to LA at the point in my life.
This is where the childhood aspirations 100% come into
100%.
Like we weren't allowed to join the Girl Scouts or the Brownies or anything because our parents were super overprotective and didn't want us like going out into the woods by ourselves. Like they
Sure,
thought it was
reasonable.
too dangerous.
We
Didn't
still
want
did
us.
it anyways.
We went into the woods behind our house all the time. It just wasn't organized in any way. No adult supervision. So it was like my dream to become a Girl Scout. And then you add to it fucking
Cookies.
Okay. Cookies are one thing. We do love the cookies. But those outfits,
Yes.
so there's points where those girls are dressed like that whole
The cape flourish that they have.
capes, the kind of like when they go into family court and all they've come from like a
Oh.
fashion
Describing fashion for the blind.
and describing fashion to the blind, which made me laugh again.
Sure.
Like I laughed out loud, and they're all dressed to the nines. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. They've all got it was a combination of wanting Girl Scouts, wanting an American Doll, and all the little outfits that go with the American Doll. That whole kind of like childhood aspirational kind of like life goals, you know?
It also combined elements from like the Parent Trap, where they're like trying to get the whole like parents
having that kind of like, that star-crossed parents, which is such a weird,
it's so terrible.
romantic trope.
I grew up in Colorado, which is next to Kansas.
Sure.
I was also from a not upper class family. I was very, very middle class. And it wasn't an aspirational thing for me. I just wanted to be their friends. Like, I thought that was a fun group of girls to want to hang out with. And it looked like a fun troop. And they were nice to each other. And it looked like stuff I could participate in. Like, it just looked like
wanted to be Carla Gugino's friend.
The horse girl.
She's the
She
worst.
was like a horsey girl. Oh, dream.
Oh, my favorite part about that, she lied about her age to get in this movie.
She was like 17 at the time.
Can we talk before we start going though about the crazy cat from this movie though?
I know.
Like Carla Gugino.
Oh yeah.
Let's say Jenny Lewis.
Yeah.
Kelly Martin, Margot from Punky Brewster, Harriet from Small Wonder. Like this cast of girls was so good.
It's insane.
Good casting.
Yeah, these are 3 film debuts. That's Carla, we already talked about. That's Tasha Scott and Tori Spelling, of course.
Tori Spelling.
Oh, right. And
but
my
this is her
favorite
first
casting is making Tori Spelling not one of the Beverly Hills girls.
Right. Isn't that great?
That is my favorite
Because
casting.
the thing that she did literally the year after this.
Saved by the Bell.
No, she was a spot on Saved by the Bell right around
Saved by
this
the Bell
time.
must have been
Yeah,
like a
basically
year
like streamlined her right into 90210 and later in the 90s. But yeah, oh my God, it's kind of insane.
It's that Saved by the Bell feeling too. Like it was that whole kind of like cool California upper class being little immigrant children at the restaurant. I was like, oh, that would be a nice
Saved by the
life.
Bell was also hugely aspirational.
Living in Beverly Hills.
So the producer and writer of the story of this is Ava Ostrom-Fries, who based this on like her experience being a den mother with her daughters and all like the weird things that she did. She's a wife to Charles Fries, who EP'd this film. And he's also like massive TV producer. So the writers for this are all from television. This is like, I think this is like their only film that they do. Pamela Norris, 3-time Jeopardy champion Pamela Norris. Yeah, so she was EP on Designing Women. She got her start on Saturday Night Live, worked on a number of television shows. A lot of these people are from Second City and Saturday Night Live. You'll notice like a weird connection because Shelly Long started at Second City.
Yeah.
Rose started there too. Yeah, there's a lot of people. But she co-wrote this with Margaret Oberman, and she got her start with Square Pegs before she got to SNL. She specifically wrote the Bat Mitzvah episode of Square Pegs. She would do one more film, which was The Man with Eugene Levy and Sam Jackson, but she mostly just did television as well, which is why I think this is so loaded with like one-liners and it feels like skit form.
Feels like a sitcom.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it does actually feel like skit form. Maybe that's why it feels like so all over the place, is because it's just like little bits and pieces of things, you know?
Yeah, everything has
especially
like
with the badges when they're doing the whole kind of like badge shtick,
you know? The one thing, this is the telltale sign of skit writing, is nobody can get out of the skit. And there's this one scene when they're doing the fashion thing and she goes, oh, if you like our haute couture, try our cuisine couture. And then it just ends with her like bantering back and forth with Robin Leach, and they're just like, oh, you're so
no, you're
good.
the best. Like, oh my God.
Oh my God, just cut already, because this is not going anywhere. I actually want to see how long that take went before they realize, all right, this isn't getting us anywhere. I think that's part of the reason why, for me, the parts of this that work and the parts that I still like can laugh at are because it feels like skits. And like all the pieces when they're going to get the badges, and it's so filled with the one-liners. Like I still laughed to this day when they're doing the CPR, and he's like, all right, well, you need volunteers, and like all the girls, and she just volunteers herself and said, and he's like, I need you to lie on your back and open your mouth. And he's like, last time I did this,
I got more than a badge.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like technically she didn't volunteer herself. He volunteered.
No, he
her.
volunteered her because she's the only adult in the room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
the only adult. He can't do it with
As
children.
a kid, that always confused me though, because even then I was like, that you don't French kiss during CPR.
No, you don't. Having anybody who's actually taken a CPR course,
Well, I mean, that's also like that whole
but it's
shtick
that
was
kid,
in the
it's that
sand
kid
line.
perspective where you're like,
yeah.
oh, they're kissing, you know, it's
Right.
mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, I think that's the whole kind of gag. It was like all the kids were like, ooh, I want to kiss with this hot fireman dude.
Who gives his number to Shelly Long? She
Yeah,
should have
he
gone
does.
out on a date with a hot
She
fireman.
should have gone with him.
I know, like literally anyone
lose
else.
Craig T. Nelson. Man.
Lose Craig T. Nelson.
with the hot fireman.
Sorry, the
Yeah.
Muffler King? You can
The
do
Muffler
way better than the Muffler King.
Freddie the Muffler King.
Yeah.
No, I did like her little line when they're at the afterwards, and he's like, oh wow, and he's finally like impressed with her because he's been ignoring his wife his entire life. and she just goes, oh, so where's your girlfriend? Is it her bedtime?
Yeah.
Like kind of like mutters it a little bit. She's perfect at those little like biting moments where
she's
she's
so
just
good.
like,
She does kind of like passive aggressive,
Oh, God,
you know,
yeah.
so perfectly.
So good. Yeah. And not to take away from the only other star, because we've been talking about it this whole time, beyond Shelly Long, is Theodora Van Runkle, who was the costume designer for all of this.
God
Holy
bless
God.
you, Theodora. Well done,
So
woman.
The khaki fashion show. Like I am all about that dress that Pia Zadora wears. That is a good dress.
Totally.
Bryce said this earlier. The capes are just like, man.
I want a cape,
Yeah.
guys.
I have a couple
need a
capes.
cape.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have some capes? I need to get more
I do.
capes. in
I
my
have.
wardrobe.
I found at a
thrift store.
thrift store like one of those exact style of capes,
Mhm.
and then I have a couple more traditional capes because I'm a Ren Fair nerd.
Right. Yes.
No, but like she got her start. She worked on Bonnie and Clyde. She also did all the designs for Thomas Crown Affair, Maya Breckenridge, Godfather 2, The Jerk. Peggy Sue Got Married. She did both Best Little Whorehouse in Texas and Rhinestone.
Oh wow.
And then one of my absolute favorites for design, Heart Beeps, the Andy Kaufman, Bernadette Peters robot movie.
Oh my God.
If you've ever seen that, holy bonkers. Like you see where she got the almost fondant level of costuming for this, where it doesn't really move like with the body. And I like how Shelly Long actually uses that to her advantage, knowing full well that the dress isn't going to move. So she's just kind of like moving in it.
Physicality is so good.
Oh,
Her
she's-
physical comedy
yeah.
is so good. When they're camping in the Hollywood Hills, like right under the sign, and it starts raining, and she's like splashing through the
fondue.
mud in a fur coat,
And then she
with a
puts it
pot
in
in
her
her
mouth. And
mouth?
then she puts the pot in her mouth. And then
God
it's like,
bless you. That was
crawling.
perfect. It was so good.
That was the moment I knew I wanted to join Shelly Long's troupe, is when she took them all to a nice hotel.
Yeah.
Took them to a nice hotel,
Oh.
and they ordered room service by the fire. Perfect.
That is my kind of
Then you're
thing.
telling scary stories about perms. It's great.
So basically, when we form we're gonna have a Girl Scout troop so that Alex and Helen can finally join.
Yes. Oh, please.
And I can
Oh my God.
And Dana's going to be
Yeah.
our troop leader because she wants to plan activities where we go to hotels and make s'mores.
Be like the Pawnee Goddesses from Parks and Rec, where I'll have a puppy party. I'll have candy for everybody. We'll play with ukuleles. It'll be super fun.
That sounds great.
I'm not sure my
this.
stereotypical role here, but I'll just be happy to be there and not be
Can we
outside.
just do my one request is arts and crafts. We have to do a lot of
yeah.
arts and crafts.
Yeah, you can be the arts and crafts counselor. 'cause
Okay, cool.
you're not
Oh,
much fun.
man. I did love that line when they said this, like, you call this roughing it? Well, 9 girls in one bathroom. Yeah, I'd say so. Like not even missing a beat. She's just like
We're
on
like
it.
playing poker with the bellboy. It's the best.
I mean, the jokes are funny, the outfits are great. It's mostly the messaging that only adults care about,
Well,
and the
here's
crap
the thing, though.
relationship between Shelly Long and Craig T. Nelson is what made me
Yeah.
crazy about
I
No,
that.
also-
I do agree that is a crap relationship.
It
You're
is
totally
a crap
right.
relationship. She shouldn't get back together with him. I would have much rather her be alone or with the fireman.
He seemed nice.
But like her friendship with Shelly Morrison's character, what was her name?
You know what her name was?
Oh, that was, see, I was actually super uncomfortable about that because
what the proto version of who she was in Will and Grace.
When Will and Grace, she even had the same outfit in that opening scene. She's wearing the same uniform.
I was about to call her Rosario, and I'm like, nope.
No, it's not. It's
her name is Rosa. Her name is Rosa.
That's why I wanted to call her Rosario, because it was close.
Rosa, Phyllis housekeeper, which I don't know.
Adult socialist me is super uncomfortable about shows where they show paid employees being like family.
I know,
but yet not allowed to have any kind of family or freedom of their own.
This is where like I read so many articles and hot takes about what this meant, because this is like proto third wave. Like this is not in that vein at all, because like Riot Girl stuff has not even started or basically burgeoning at this point. But we're going to take class out of this for 1 second, because like that just kind of screws with the whole dichotomy of this, and never mind the whole ending where like apparently
dichotomy talking about True Beverly Hills.
But okay, so the one thing that I actually did appreciate is that a lot of people made the connection that this was being who you were, who use your skills and your talents to bring out the best, and then work with other people. And I was like, that okay, there's little pieces I can hang on to that. What gets in the way is when they're like dressed in headdresses, or they're talking with their housekeeper, or
the red feathers,
the Imelda Marcos thing, where I'm like, oh Jesus.
I mean,
and again, that might just be leftovers from that time.
I think that's part of the topical humor thing, because it's right when the Marcoses were like fleeing the country, and I mean, they were like captured in Hawaii and then like imprisoned in like Los Angeles. So I think it's the whole kind of like topical humor.
Or I don't look at that as racist so much as they were making fun of Imelda Marcos.
I mean, but we do have characters named Mr. and Mrs. Dictator for fun.
They're not Mr. and Mrs. Dictator. At one point, he does tell her what his name is.
Sure.
So it's just, that's the joke, is she's not sure how to approach them.
I mean, what sucks is it's a pretty diverse cast of girls, right?
Yeah.
Especially for an 80s movie.
For an 80s movie, totally. The unfortunate thing is they do fit into certain stereotypes.
They do.
So it's the black athlete's daughter. Right. It's the
who's really good at singing and performing.
Who's really good at singing and performing.
She was, though.
Yeah.
For the record,
she was. That Tina Turner song was
she was Dorothy in The Wiz. For the traveling show.
That was the cringiest fucking moment of that movie, though, when they were doing the song, and like
the Cookie Time song. What
the Cookie Time song was cringe. It was
my god, I love the Cookie Time song.
That note, and it is solid.
No, her singing was great, but can you imagine walking across this, like if you were out?
Oh, I loved it. It was my dream, like having that kind of performance, like having a well choreographed and outfitting performance.
If I could have sold cookies via singing my childhood.
How is it that I am the most extroverted amongst us, and I'm like, no, this is too much. It's too much public notice.
You don't like the mother-daughter combination of singing? Wouldn't that just be nice? It's cheaper at twice the price, and it's like, oh my god, this is like weirdly. I don't know what's going on with this, where it's like we're filled with sugar and spice. Like I was like, oh my god, this is going in weird places.
But the girls were all great. Like the girls were wonderful.
No, the girls are amazing.
They're so good with each other. Like they've got such a great friendship.
The friendships when the one can't afford the dues or the money for the badges, the stinking badges.
That's actually one of my favorite moments.
So
and that kind
sweet.
of, it does have, and this is where it comes back in, where it's like, okay, in a normal movie, and this is actually what Roger Ebert dinged it for, is that it was toothless and it had no like real bite and satire, because he's watching it he's watching a children's movie as an adult.
Yeah.
And
which again is what I was doing. My problem.
Right. I'm doing the same thing now, but from a children's perspective, that scene registers more than the entire concept of like because first of all,
and the one where Chica's parents leave her.
Yeah.
Those were very.
And also when Shelly Long is like gonna quit and the girls all kind of won't let her, you know?
I hated that moment.
Oh my God, I thought it was so sweet because the girls are like, this is the first time we actually feel like we belong.
That is my biggest problem with the movie, and it is completely the fault of the direction. Every time they have one of those scenes, they put the girls in a circle and then they literally deliver the lines
around the circle.
So it's like the person on the far right starts, person next to them, say the next line, person next to them, say the next one. That is some clunky shit.
Yeah.
But the message is good.
No, but the message is terrible. Adults shouldn't make their fucking
you're right
problems these kids' problems.
You're totally right. It shouldn't, but adults are people too. And I think that kind of also shows that adults also sometimes need a push forward, whether that be from children or from their fellow friends, you know, and she doesn't have friends. She needs adult friends.
She needs adult friends.
Right. She needs adult friends. She shouldn't be making these like prepubescent girls her therapist and friends. It's weird.
But that is kind of like the kind of situation that she is growing out of as a character, right? So that is like her low point. And then when the bridge collapses and she's got to get across on the tree,
and she finally starts acting like
starts acting like a fucking adult, right? And she's like, no, I'm not going to let any of you kids put yourself in danger. I'm going to go across.
I'm going to put something else out here that I don't think is an issue for this group of people because nobody in this group
we don't have kids.
But in general, when you have children, your support group of friends goes away. Not because you want them to, but because it becomes much harder to see other adults.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she does have her best friend, the romance writer, who does come in a couple of times and does act as a support.
Oh, yeah.
I want to have her life.
Alex was like that. So we can follow her.
I want to be her. I want to dress
I
like
also
her.
found it crazy weird that she was asking her prepubescent child to finish her romance.
Yeah,
novel. I felt really
little
uncomfortable with the relationship between adults.
I thought that was fine. She's just being
sorry. When we watched Sleepless in Seattle and they were talking about sex with the little boys,
what did I have a problem with in that movie too?
Yeah, that was also.
What did I have a problem with?
That's always been a rich person stereotype in movies, is that the kids are wise beyond their years,
right?
And they interact with their parents at the same level.
The baby therapist that we have in this one, she's great.
So I don't even treat my cats with that level of.
I did like Stephanie Beacham doing her absolute best Joan Collins impression.
Totally.
It's spot on. It's so good.
Absolutely.
Also, her getting drunk on Evian, I was like, oh,
that was actually hilarious.
First time I've ever noticed that. It's the first time I've ever caught on to the fact that she's got bottles of Evian.
Bottles of Evian. I was like, no wonder your skin is so flawless.
Although,
you know how to hydrate.
Anybody else's 2022 brain go, no single-use plastic.
Yeah, no, so Jezebel years ago did a whole ranking of each one of the outfits that Shelly Long wears, and that one ranked in at number 26, labeled as depressed Evian goth sorceress.
Wait, what was their number one pick?
Oh, the number one pick was the
candy dress.
Oh, the camp cake.
The hot glue gun marzipan picnic shelter thing that she was wearing. Yeah.
Really? I'd go with the cotton candy dress.
Cotton candy dress.
No, my favorite is the one when she's at the
Alex loves the one with the bird.
With the bird?
Yeah, the bird was so great.
That's number 2.
I love the simplicity of the remade camp outfit.
I really love the family court outfit.
I like the one with the jopper camp outfit.
The camp family court.
I like the joppers that she wears when she's like.
I hate the joppers. They're so weird.
It is at this moment our intrepid podcasters devolve into several minutes of non-canonical outfit preferences and a directionless verbal melee. For your convenience, we've edited these mini minutes out and bring you back to the regular discussion of Troop Beverly Hills. Like Dana said, this could have gone in a better direction if it had a better director.
Yeah.
No knocks against director Jeff Canu. He started his career as an editor. He did trailers. He also cut Ordinary People. He directed a documentary called Black Rodeo in the 70s, which was about the first all-black rodeo that took place on Randall's Island back then.
Oh, wow.
Your Island.
Island.
Yeah. He would go on to direct Revenge of the Nerds, which is where I think there's a lot of this like weird seated, not knowing how to handle like certain types of comedic performances comes from, because that movie is also real clunky.
Yeah,
and terrible,
among other things.
Oh, horrible! If we ever revisit
He
that
did
one.
this film, Gotcha. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I remember this as a kid.
Yeah.
It's the paintball action comedy starring Goose, Anthony Edwards, and Linda Fiorentino.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Wow.
It's about a college game of basically paintball tag that goes horribly wrong, and then he gets involved in like actual.
I remember those
Like,
community episodes.
Yeah, it's so. He also did Tough Guys, which was the last Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas movie.
that was an okay. I remember correctly.
It definitely showed that Burt Lancaster was not there anymore.
There.
And he would later direct one of my underrated favorites, V.I. Warshawski,
Oh God,
with
Randall.
Kathleen Turner. I love that movie.
I don't even know that one.
I will say though, and I think this is worth mentioning, is that Betty Thomas, who plays Velda,
Oh, hell yeah.
was a crazy good director.
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch, and she
Oh,
probably would've
yeah.
done a killer job with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
This
would've.
was her last screen role, and I think honestly, like what you were saying, she was probably like, dude, I could do this better, because she would go on to
Maybe
do,
that's
like,
maybe that's where all the rage in her character came
Right.
from.
She's like,
Because I was like, I don't understand why you're so angry right now at a
Yeah.
bunch of kids. They're children. Why are you taking away their joy?
yeah, Betty Thomas was she was EP on 2000 Charlie's Angels. She also produced He Can't Hardly Wait. Her first
Wow.
film directing was oh God, what was it? Only You. That's what it was. With Andrew McCarthy, Kelly Preston, and Helen Hunt.
It's the fake Only You, not the good one.
oh, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I
not-
kind
not
of
that
like
one.
that romantic. No, I don't like this one. I hate
Yeah,
Helen
there are
Hunt.
two
No,
of
it's-
them.
it's
There's
not
a really
good.
bad
It's-
one, and
I like Helen
I
Hunt.
cannot.
Yeah.
She's one of those like trigger actors who I'm just like, I don't know why I hate her. I'm sure she's a nice
I
I
person.
liked Helen Hunt because she had
Yeah.
Helen's name.
You have a
Not
really low bar to liking people, Alex.
We
Like,
accept a lot of people.
We
in our-
accept a lot of people in our lives.
for an extrovert, I can't stand people in my lives.
no. So yeah, like Dana said, she did the Brady Bunch movie also with Shelly Long, also where 9 people share a single
this
bathroom.
is why I'm saying she'd be great for this movie.
She was
Oh,
great.
for real?
She directed Private Parts, 28 Days, which we literally were just talking about.
Mhm.
I love
Um,
28 Days.
I didn't.
Did she do
Uh,
28 days?
No, 28 Days. The
Okay.
Sandra Bullock rehab.
Yep. Which
thing.
I weirdly like for some unknown.
I love
Love
it so
it.
much.
Oh,
Just because
speaking of
Alan
things that I
Tudyk.
weirdly
Not
like.
just because of Alan Tudyk. It makes me like feel sad.
Yeah, that's fair. Personal favorite of mine that she did, John Tucker Must Die.
Oh, good one.
John Tucker Must Die
Yeah.
is a good one.
Yeah,
Good
it's such a
one.
Yeah,
she
weird,
should have
weird
directed
movie.
this.
Yeah, she should have directed this.
She was robbed.
She won a DGA award for directing The Late Shift, which is that TV movie
Oh yeah.
about
Yeah.
Letterman and Leno. And she did like, oh God, like dozens of episodes of Dream On, which I think she won an Emmy for that.
Nice.
But yeah, she's amazing director. She gives a absolutely scenery chewing performance in this, which
Yes. I don't understand why they make her quite as evil as they do.
So evil. This is like Matilda Trunchbull,
Yes, but
level evil.
It's one of the only children's movies I can think of, maybe outside of Matilda, where they don't reform the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, not.
Yeah.
She's completely unrepentant.
Yep.
To the end.
Who's like the coach character in Glee was completely based off of her.
Jane Lynch.
Oh.
Yeah, Jane
Jane
Lynch's
Lynch.
character had to have been based off of this one.
Yeah, but at least Jane Lynch's character kind of redeems herself at
That's what I
points with
mean.
her,
is
like,
they do eventually give her a soft side, and there is just nothing soft about Velda, which I kind of appreciate. Like, if you're going to make your cartoon villain a cartoon villain, keep him as a villain.
Okay, is this my own personal kind of weird headcanon, or was this in a deleted scene that, like with the Goonies octopus? For some reason, I thought that the kind of overall troop, the overall Wilderness Girls
Leader?
senior leader
Mhm.
was Velda's mom.
no.
You're making
No.
that's
There's no point where she's Velda's
There was
mom,
never a
right?
point where she was
that's
Velda's
Audra Linney,
mom.
Roper.
who's Mrs. Hooper.
I
from Three's
know.
Company.
Roper.
Is
Roper.
Roper, sorry, Mrs. Roper. Mrs. Hooper is a completely different person.
I don't think there's
Mrs. Roper.
there probably is a Mrs. Hooper somewhere.
Yeah. Well, there's Hanging with Mr.
I was about to
Cooper.
say, but
That's
that's
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Hooper was the grocer at
Mr. Cooper was the
Sesame
grocer in
Street,
Sesame
right?
Street. I don't think he was married.
He was married.
Anyway, but yeah, I think the reason why she goes like to that level is also because you have such a sweet and endearing performance from
Totally.
another wonderfly gifted comedic actress.
So good.
Like, I love how subtle she is, and she just feels like your grandma, and it's like a quiet little quiet
She's
little
so
part.
sweet.
Well, the same goes with Mary Gross, who is very underrated.
Yeah.
Totally. She's great.
And I was very confused when I was a child because I thought I was related to her for a very long
I
time.
understand that.
Sure, I see it.
But Velda also, I love the little details of her having those, like the battalion pins, like her kind of like battle pins and the purple heart. Like, what is this stolen valor you're carrying into the Wilderness Girls?
I have this whole imagined backstory for her that she really wanted to be in like the Marines, and she was trying.
Right.
She said she was like an army nurse. It says she was like an army nurse at one point.
But I think I'm thinking like she wanted to be a Marine. She wanted to go in there and like kill people with the bayonet.
Oh yeah, she
I
wanted.
bet you heard that she was an army child whose dad was in the military, and she wanted to grow up to be in the military too.
So much backstory. We're trying to give this unrepentant character.
This is like we're having to fill in so much space because these, like, honestly, a lot of these performances were just so fun, and they're doing a lot with what very little is here.
Yeah, it's very one note.
Yeah, I did want to mention like Jenny Lewis, who is an absolute rock star, quite literally.
Rilo Kiley.
Yeah, and I love how sweet and fun she is in this, and you can definitely see where she kind of gets that like very wispy California sound when
but I have such a hard time reconciling child actor Jenny Lewis with Rilo Kiley. Jenny Lewis, in my head, they're just two completely different.
So it's really, especially when like at the beginning of this film with like that whole cartoon bit, and then it says, and introducing Jenny Lewis, it's like, oh, was she going to be like the next kind of, what's her name?
Well, this is a banner year for her because she was in not only in this, but this same year she was in The Wizard. With Fred Savage,
which we have to do at some point.
Oh God,
yeah, we will.
But speaking of the animated intro,
Dana, we will give you a chance to fangirl over your one true love.
Yes,
it's either that or Little Monsters. I would much rather watch The Wizard.
The Wizard is a far superior film.
I completely blocked the memory of the animated intro from my brain, and I was like, "What kind of drug trip bullshit is happening right now?"
Over the awful Beach Boys song. Yeah.
Do you know what I realized when we were like watching that, when that cartoon intro came on? This is kind of like the polar ends of Earth Girls Are Easy and True Beverly Hills. It's got that kind of like California mystique, California, like what's up with California? It's so quirky and weird, but this is high end Beverly Hills, quirky and weird California versus kind of like
also, don't forget about the animated opening of Mannequin.
Oh,
also,
what trippy animated openings at this point in time. Like it's kind of crazy how many films started with animation.
All the poor animators who went,
I'm sure
I know exactly. Here,
I'm sure they were happy to be employed. Yeah, for the time.
Okay, so the animated title sequence, which designed by none other than Ren and Stimpy creator and reviled underage groomer and sex abuser John Kay.
Well, that's
John Krafalsi, I think that's how you say his name. What makes it worse is that there's an interview with him and he was talking about this, and it's said in quote, well, I love to set a bad example. It's the first time I ever got a chance to animate and design a sexy girl. It was completely taboo to draw women who were good looking because it would set a bad example for young girls. Keep in mind, this guy flew a teenager, a 16-year-old, when he was 40. And then it's a
Randall,
really
if you can't
awful
pronounce his name, I think it's okay if we don't give him justice.
No, it's John Kay. It's John Kay. That's he literally would write it because nobody could ever say his fucking name. But not to dismiss everybody else on this. There were a lot of animators that worked on this, but he primarily did the design, and you can definitely tell it's that Ren and Stimpy kind of style.
Yeah.
So also working on the sequence was John McClanahan of Animaniacs fame, Mike Casil, who worked for The Simpsons and Camp Candy. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yes.
That show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kent Butterworth.
Camp Candy. It was the John Candy one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kent Butterworth, who started with like the Smurfs. He did He-Man for Funimation and all that other stuff. And Eric Stefani did the layout artist for The Simpsons, and is also brother to Gwen Stefani.
I was gonna ask, is he related?
Yeah. Bill Croyer was the director of this whole thing. He was known for mostly doing CGI animation. He did all the stuff for Tron, as well as like Star Chaser, and he would later go and direct Fern Gully. So not to belabor the point, but like, yeah, just because John Kay is a gross person, the design and the work that was put into it is pretty phenomenal. And yeah, it just one of those things that I was with you, Bryce. I was like, holy shit, I completely forgot this.
Yeah, it was really trippy.
But this is also in the same way because I remember Christmas Vacation had an animated opening.
It was just a thing in the 80s.
I think it was kind of the thing, especially with home video kind of blowing up at the time. It was like when you're getting the popcorn and everybody's kind of like getting ready to sit on the couch and stuff, and you're not really paying attention. You don't want to have something that kind of like starts off in media res, like it's got a it's a little slow intro.
It's a good way to establish you're walking into a comedy right now that's not
it's wacky, it's fun.
And it's always like a weird, like, here's what the plot's going to be.
Yes.
If I was going to be a pretentious Shakespearean asshole, it's kind of like the intro chorus monologue that sets up the entire plot for you before it even starts.
It is.
The other one I was trying to remember was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, had a whole opening.
100%.
I mean,
also this year, 1989.
But also the TV show Bewitched had that whole intro cartoon.
Oh yeah, I love that.
That was the best intro. Didn't also My I Dream of Jeannie did the same thing.
Yeah,
I Dream.
There's a long history of explanatory cartoon intros.
And the Nanny, much later.
The Nanny.
Oh, the Nanny did it.
Oh, the Nanny! I love the Nanny.
There was
Talk
a nice
about more
little
great
hidden,
outfits. Yeah.
No, there's a nice little hidden. The father, the unemployed actor father. That's Ed Burns, the teen heartthrob Kooky from the show 77 Sunset Strip, and he just became like a TV icon and a teen heartthrob. He was also Vince Fontaine, the TV host from Grease, in that whole sequence. He's playing like this throwback character, and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of work and I'm doing this." So his credit in the opening part is a switchblade comb, which is in reference to his whole like hairstyle thing, which was like the whole reason he became famous. Speaking of 60s throwbacks, did anybody else catch the original Beach Party duo?
Yes, Annette.
Yeah, it's Annette and Frankie.
I loved it so much. But that was the weird kind of, I feel like they were big at the time because of some kind of like Disney Channel something.
Yeah, no, they had just made Back to the Beach.
Back to the Beach.
Yep.
Yeah. And
that's what
like,
60s
like, nostalgia was like
references that they put in the movie that are like little time capsules.
I mean, the whole dancing thing, all of that is like 60s shit.
Yeah.
Helen didn't understand why they kept doing the Freddie.
I was like, why are they doing the Freddie?
And I'm like, it's because it's her husband's name.
It's her husband's name. Yeah.
I didn't get it.
He even has that moment where he's like,
you hated him so much you didn't bother to learn his name.
I didn't, but he was the Muffler King or whatever.
This movie is the one and only time I have ever heard of the Freddie. That was not a big dance.
Right?
Definitely
it was.
One that carried
I'm
it.
pretty sure she made it up. That's not a real dance.
No, that was a #1 hit back in the 60s.
Real, but I like all of the other dances that traveled through.
Make me play it. I will play it.
And the twist. And
you don't need to play it. We heard it enough.
Oh, he's definitely putting that at the end of the
That's
episode.
going to be our outro. Yeah.
No, I'm not putting the Freddie at the end of this.
Then you have to put Cookie Time at the end of this.
Fuck yeah, I'll put Cookie Time.
There you go. Also, all the mentions to Pee Wee Herman. There's so much.
I did love it though. I was
that's
like,
right. Yeah, there's a couple of those in there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
and they actually had a snippet of him.
Yeah, he was huge at the time. So
our mom was like, "What?" When he took out the big underwear, she was like, "Oh no, what are we watching now?"
I love that bit though. That's like one of my favorite.
That's hilarious.
If you ever see a stage show, there was one bit when he was doing it on, I can't remember. It was him, and I think it was Phil Hartman. They invited over their friend, and they're all like kids, and they put mirrors on their shoe, and they're like, "Haha, we're gonna look at your underwear." And then she goes, "Joke's on you, I'm not wearing any." And then they just go, "Ah," and they just like get disappointed and walk away. And I was like, that's the adorableness of like Pee Wee,
He's got a radio hour now.
Oh no shit! Oh,
he did a radio hour. I think it was kind of a one-off.
I don't know if it's like a long-term thing, but he definitely did a radio hour for a bit, and I had wanted to listen to it.
Yeah. What was I? Oh, I did want to bring up. Oh, Kelly Martin, who is the daughter of Ed. Kelly Martin was in. Oh God,
Life Goes On. And ER.
Yes, but
ER
specifically, she was in an episode of Sequest.
Oh wow!
Which Sequest had a regular character that Stephanie Beacham was. She was the doctor on there, and I was like, oh, that's like a little nice moment.
That is nice.
That's what you went to, though, not Kelly Martin of Life Goes On fame and
ER.
No, Sequest forever.
That's Randall for you.
Hilarious. That's Randall. Thank you, Randall. Thank you for being true to yourself.
I know. I love that show so much. When it finally came on streaming, I literally sat up all night and was watching all.
She was also on an episode of SVU.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So many Hallmark movies.
So
many. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
But
there's.
she's got a good acting career.
Yeah.
Kelly Martin she's had a career.
Solid. Yeah. Solid.
I mean, Carla Gugino. That's just.
Well, I mean,
Gugino or Gugino?
if I was going to be honest,
Gugino,
yeah.
Gugino.
Yeah, if I was going to be honest, the reason I think most people would probably remember Kelly Martin is she was Roxanne from a Goofy movie.
No, you're wrong. Most
sure was.
Kelly Martin from Life Goes On and the whole AIDS storyline. She was popular at the time.
But I think
was
Reno is right.
High school.
A Goofy movie has like a weird resonance for the generation just below us.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen Goofy movie, but I hear it's quite the thing.
And go, she's the Goofy movie girl.
Roxanne.
Corky's sister. Period.
Dana, sorry. Roxanne is like a huge thing.
I get it, but she is not. Yeah. You do not see Kelly Martin in that movie. You cannot.
You do not. You do not.
No, you literally cannot. The Goofy movie is a cartoon, guys. You cannot see Kelly Martin in that movie.
Dana's so mad,
but they hear Kelly Martin. They hear her.
Jesus Christ! Just
no, I agree. Like Life Goes On is probably like the thing that everybody does remember.
Yeah, definitely.
From our age.
Life Goes On. I remember Life Goes On.
She was in
She was in but she was in Life Goes On first.
Yes, very much.
See, I lost track of how many people have. It's just like Law and Order. It's like everybody's been on it.
Everybody been on it. She was a main.
Everybody was on
Law and Order. She was on it.
Life Goes On or ER?
No, ER and Law and Order were both shows that every actor is.
Yeah, but she's very memorable in ER because she got murdered after having been a main character for like 3 years. She got murdered.
More than 3 years, I thought. She was like a main character for a while, wasn't she?
Intern. So she was only there for a couple of years, and then they killed her. But she was very popular.
That might have been when I stopped watching ER because I was very upset when she got killed.
I don't really have. I mean, there was one casting thing. Apparently, or Disney originally wanted to do this, but then they wanted to put Bette Midler in the role, and they
that would have been good.
Oh shit!
I think she would have done a very different version.
It would have been totally different. It wouldn't have been as like hoity-toity.
Under the House of Mouse, I don't know if this would have been as loose, and you wouldn't have brought in all this SNL.
It would have been way more saccharine, and I like that it's not. Like I like that
this is pretty. This is pretty saccharine. Like,
I still thought it was kind of like, seeing it with like grown-up eyes. I thought there were some grown-up jokes in it, that were kind of like put in there for the adults. So it wasn't like too sweet. It was still really sweet, but in that kind of like, yay, s'mores over a campfire sweet.
I just look at it as it was two separate movies. It was the movie that the parents could watch for the Shelly Long bit, and it was the movie that the kids could watch. Because really, when I was a kid, all I focused in on were the Wilderness Girls scene.
Totally.
Or about the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just two separate movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't think they would have been able to pull the talent if it was under Disney's umbrella with that. And also, Bette Midler would have wanted to have probably a little bit more control over how and what.
I think Bette Midler would have stolen the mic at cookie time and like.
Oh, absolutely.
Have been singing it. But I also think that it would have been a lot bluer if Bette Midler had been a part of it. It would have been a kids movie.
One thing I did want to mention, since we were talking about Cookie Time earlier,
we haven't
and
stopped.
Now we're talking about
we were talking about Cookie Time, Randall, or you were talking about
I was talking about Cookie Time. The actress Hillary Shepard, if you're a fan of Power Rangers, she's Diva Talks. She actually wrote and produced Cookie Time.
Wow.
She had a bit part in this. She was the woman at the store when she's selling all the girls the outfits and things like that. Weird side note: she and Daryl Hannah make board games.
Oh, I like
currently they make board games.
Yeah.
What
they have two board games out.
I'm gonna buy a Daryl Hannah's board game.
I don't remember what they're called, but there was an interview they were doing, and I was watching. I was like, oh, you make board games with Daryl Hannah.
I love it.
Like we are talking about the Daryl Hannah,
yes,
right?
The Daryl Hannah.
Yeah,
Roxanne covered on this podcast, Daryl Hannah.
But so Diva Talks, she had a whole Twitter thread that was like before she was Diva Talks, And somebody had asked her about it, and she's like, yeah, I wrote and produced Cookie Time for True Beverly Hills.
Wild.
I love it.
Which is great because composer Randy Eldman, who we already talked about, you know why? It's because he did the Chipmunk Adventure, did the music for this, which is also
Hollywood's so small.
Yeah, right. It's real tiny. Let's talk about the remake because this was just announced. Well, 2 years ago, but
I'm so excited. I think they could make. I know that they announced one, but I was thinking if they do another one, they could do it with drag queen.
Is it a movie or is it
as the Beverly Hills mom?
It's a movie.
Is it Disney this time? Because it sounds like it should be Disney.
No, so this is actually under Lawrence Mark, who's the producer on this. So as of September of 2020, this was announced in for Vanity Fair, Variety, Dateline, all this other stuff. He officially announced, you might know him, he produced Working Girl, Jerry Maguire, Dreamgirls, Julie and Julia, and most recently, I believe his biggest hit was Greatest Showman. I still not seen that movie.
I have no interest. P.T. Barnum was an asshole.
Yeah, I don't hear good
Dana,
things.
are you okay?
I am, because it's not a remake. It's a sequel.
It's an actual sequel? Oh my God.
Oh, that's even
man.
better. So that means Shelly Long's going to be in it, which is
I hope
wonderful.
so. I hope so.
See, I was thinking if they do a remake, they could have the Shelly Long character
as the
as like a drag
overall
queen.
What? Why are you using?
Maybe.
Because the outfits.
You have to put drag
the
and
outfits
everything.
are perfect.
Well,
Okay,
so
yeah.
this is set to be directed by an actress turned director. She's only done short films, but she's won a few awards. Oren Zegman, don't know, but script written by Aisha Carr, who was producer on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rel, and Woke.
Love it.
And she's also working on the script. The screenplay is Tamara Chesna. She wrote Moxie, the Amy Poehler Netflix thing. And
the only thing I would question is most of the girls, with the exception of Kelly Martin and Carla Gugino, don't really act anymore.
No, they don't.
And I know like Jenny Lewis refuses to ever again.
But they did
what if Jenny Lewis did the music, Dana?
Yeah, there you go.
Rilo Kiley sings Girl Scout cookie songs.
Oh no, this is gonna be the best.
Love this. I love this. The one thing I will say that no casting has been announced, but I swear to God and all that is holy, if they don't put Anna Faris in this,
they have to.
I will go insane and I will take you all with me.
It's not it's a sequel.
Can we make this? I'm sorry. No, I'm ready to die on this hill. Can we make this our campaign?
Oh my God.
Put Anna Faris
in
the
this
Beverly
movie.
Hills sequel.
Because if anybody is going to like take that mantle, just because she has a lot of that same, but it's not quite the same way that Shelly Long has like the upbringing and the wherewithal about herself, but she definitely has that face and the physicality and the ability.
I think also Elsa Fisher could be great at it.
Yeah.
Ela?
But
Ela Fisher?
the fact that it's also a sequel.
Isla
Fisher.
Sorry.
The fact that it's a sequel is, it's surprising.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going to put it, but it is a sequel. That is what all of the articles I just saw said.
How exciting!
Yeah. Well, they've had 2 years to bake on it, so hopefully they come up with something frosty and delicious. Sticking with the cookie metaphors, that was also one of my favorite lines she delivered. That just frost my cookies.
Just
that is
frost my cookies.
That is so like. That's your mother trying not to swear in front of you.
But she's genuinely pissed off.
Yeah,
she's so angry right now.
She has a lot of depth in this. There was that little heartbreaking moment when he announces that he's talking about getting remarried in the divorce court, and it's just like you see her face drop,
just deflating.
And it is horrifying.
You just
but
see
she
her
still has to maintain,
get through it. Totally. I mean, they had a very bad relationship. The fact that they were getting divorced just because they like didn't have a good talk, like they just needed to like sit down and talk to each other, and then all was forgiven.
Yeah. Well, and this goes back to like Craig T. Nelson's character, or I will say, quote, character.
Yeah.
Where I just don't think he was given a lot to do, which is weird because like he comes from an improv background. Like he should have been able to like
he didn't have enough screen time. I mean, his
Well-
entire role was to look nice in pleated pants.
He had plenty of screen time.
he had plenty of time.
I just don't think he had anything to do
Well,
other than
The thing that cracks me up is the shirtless scene with him. So, like, was anybody really begging for a
no
hot-bellied Craig Nelson?
Definitely not. I did not need
What do
that.
you mean, America's
Give me
TV
Tom
dad?
Selleck.
Come
Why don't
on.
we just throw some Tom Selleck in there just for
True.
that one scene?
well
No, because I
Ted
wouldn't believe he was
Danson.
an asshole.
Ted Danson.
Who Shelly Long already had a relationship.
really great
with.
chemistry with.
Great chemistry.
I think like they kept setting himself up too much as like the jerk with his like younger dates and his getting married too fast, that there was just no chance to redeem him in the 5 minutes at the end.
No.
And it doesn't do much because he's just so disconnected and he doesn't seem like he cares.
He had
And-
the opportunity to sit in with the rest of the parents during that cookie brainstorming meeting.
Mhm.
And didn't. He just drives away.
And at one point
Sorry,
he
shitty dad.
he also
Yeah.
instead of taking his daughter to the
Alex was-
daddy-daughter baseball game, he takes
Well, but that's early
his-
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's still a shitty
Alex
thing
was
to
really
do.
pissed off. She was like,
I understand.
take your daughter to the baseball game.
But you've got the beginning of the movie where he's supposed to be irredeemable and everybody doing all of these things that are horrible, and then he's supposed to gradually become better, which
But he never
I think
becomes
that's kind of
better.
the gradual part. There's just a line in the sand where all of a sudden he remembers that she's his wife and he wants to be
Right.
part of a family again. That's the real problem, is that just never show that bridge.
Well, and it's also because I think like Phyllis in this, like she doesn't ever betray who she loves, the things that she does.
Yeah.
She knows what she's good at. She's
Yeah.
good at like fashion. She's good at like jewelry and
She is
social
sure great at fashion.
social organizing and
Totally.
and like that's the world she lives in, and she used that power and then she just found fulfillment. So like if
She's legally blonde without the law
Yeah.
degree.
Right. And I like that they never really got good at the woods.
Yeah.
no,
I
they
have
just
no problem with that.
No,
Yeah.
I said I like that part of it. Like they don't, she doesn't have to overhaul her personality because her personality is there.
Right.
They're able to use the skills they have
Yeah.
to
Those great
help.
steel framed backpacks that turn
so
into
good.
like
those
I would
like
totally buy one of those.
Oh, I
yeah,
also
those,
like
those
a group
Cartier like
of preteen kids would freak the fuck out of a fashion backpack, please.
oh my
hell
god.
yeah.
It just reminded like all the picnic baskets that I've bought in my life that have had special spaces for collapsible wine
Cups.
glasses.
Yeah.
Are we missing out on some like really cool picnic moments?
Yes, let's go and have a picnic,
This
Bryce.
was when we were in college, like post college.
We're like, we're gonna have so many picnics in Central Park.
I will say before we
We
leave
had,
that,
like, 3.
though, with the backpacks, that is the one thing that I've always found really funny about this movie is when they do that fashion thing and they're showing off the backpack and everybody starts laughing at them because they're from Beverly Hills. And I'm like, why aren't you laughing back at them? You're from Beverly Hills. You could buy and sell these people like
Right.
3 times over.
Well, and this
know,
is
there
where the
was a
class
little
part
poor
comes
little
in. I
rich
was like,
girl,
"Oh,
yeah."
yeah. Well, I also do like the fact that they're just like they made Culver City like it's like Culver City's like literally 20 minutes south.
Yeah,
Like,
Culver
Oh,
City.
but
is
also
good.
Culver,
fucking
Culver
production
City
house,
in like
man.
1989 was probably like industrial,
Yeah,
like
yeah, it
former
was. It was like, it's all
studio area.
MGM
Like it
down
was
there.
not
Yeah.
cool, you know.
I want to see the West Hollywood troupe. That's who I want to see.
West
Yeah.
Hollywood, yeah. Where's the
Give me
Venice Beach?
Yeah, give me Echo Park.
Venice Beach Troop.
That's a little bit for our LA audience out there.
on the 101, go off the 405.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do some of that.
We're so East Coast, we have no idea what
Yeah,
we're
it's-
talking about.
No, I know a little bit now that I did some driving when we were in LA.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
LA.
Yeah. Yeah. So, God.
I still enjoyed it.
I had fun. I loved it.
I will say, I know Bryce hated it as an
I
adult.
did hate it. I just wish I would have left it sit
Yeah.
as a pearl in my memory rather than uncovering the irritant with it.
I will say, for people that love camp and love referential camp,
Yeah.
it's
It's a
stand
great
up.
movie.
Like, you don't have
Totally.
to have been a kid when you saw it as a child. Like, you, as a gay man, you could totally watch this and still love it if you've never seen it before.
For the humor, for the comedy, totally. Yeah.
And for the outfits.
And
I
for the
think
outfits.
The
And the
outfits were
RuPaul used to have on the first
wonderful.
season of Drag Race.
Yeah, I think I'm never
It's
going to watch
very-
this movie again, but I may go try to find that article where it ranks the outfits.
Oh, yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see that outfit. I want to have that outfit where it's the like pencil skirt underneath, and then it has like a bell around her, like for the rest
Yes.
of the dress.
The
Like,
polka
so-
dotted
Mhm.
one.
This movie made me incorporate the phrase aggressive peplum into my life.
Aggressive peplum. That's
Mhm.
exactly what that dress was. It was
Some
very
massive,
aggressive.
massive shoulders on everything. Oh my god. Yeah.
That's the one thing I did not like.
Oh no, it was
I'm
there.
team massive shoulder pads, folks.
No.
Found another
cut them
dividing
out
line.
of all my
Shoulder pads.
I
Death.
cut shoulder pads out of all my outfits.
All
as
of
soon as I
them.
could.
Just send them to me. I will sew them in all of my clothing.
You need a good like linear, top to accentuate your line.
You guys can have all of your Golden Girl shoulder pads that you want. If I never see a shoulder pad again in my lifetime, I have
Too
it.
late.
I'm
We
with you,
saw
Dana.
Blade
I'm
Runner
with you.
last night, and that might have been the only time that I've ever been
yeah.
like, those shoulder pads, maybe too much.
No,
Blade Runner.
it's the
Pretty insane.
future. No, the future is
Sean
so
Young
shoulder
is the
pads.
Future of
No,
2019. Yeah.
Not in my future.
Stop it, Helen.
Yeah. Like the shoulder pads on Sean Young, and that was
That might have
insane.
been too much. Maybe.
I think
Considering it.
shoulder pads should be weaponized as they are in Blade Runner.
Mhm.
Weaponized shoulder
definitely.
pad.
Like, since I didn't really have like my memories of this were just basically Shelly Long being awesome, and for
She's
that,
still awesome.
this still holds up for that because
Yep.
she knocks this out of the park with what is given. I mean, for her to carry this entire movie literally on
She
those
does.
outfits,
On her shoulder padded,
on those shoulder
glorious
padded outfits,
shoulders.
it's kind of impressive to see, and it makes it even better because it's like you normally when you have somebody you're playing off of, like the whole bit in The Money Pit is it's her and Tom Hanks at
Yeah.
like the peak of their comedic performances where they're just bouncing back and forth and you can see the kind of fun and entertainment. There's really not a lot of people she's able to bounce off of in this,
Yeah.
and because she's not in scenes with them a lot. And yeah, Craig T. Nelson.
Betty Thomas. She does have fun with Betty Thomas.
Oh yeah, she does have fun.
Yeah.
But like Craig T. Nelson, Spokane's own Craig T. Nelson.
Spokane Zone.
That's where he was born, man. He actually, he started in the Groundlings back in LA. Like you feel like he should be doing something more in those moments, but he just kind of wanders in and then wanders out. I'm like,
It's exactly. He just kind of shuffles in,
yeah.
gives you kind of like a sad sack look, and
If
then
I could
shuffles
cut
in.
And then
out
like
the
checks
ending
out your
or-
24-year-old friend
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
goes.
if I could cut out the entire, like just make it about the troop winning and then saying we don't need a trophy, we just wanted to be wilderness girls, and then her saying who said you weren't, and like that's like the real heartwarming bit.
Yeah.
ends up in a freeze frame
then-
with like a
and
high
then
five
end it.
freeze.
Don't,
Yeah, I do also object to the fact that he got the last line of the song.
yeah, that's and again it's like they
Unnecessary.
focus it on the end where they get together, and I'm like, that's well, no, the actual end of this
Is sorry, attention Kmart shoppers.
Oh,
Blue
Yeah.
light special, aisle 13.
I do love the
Because
post-credit tags
cookies.
before the post-credit tags were
cookies, and it was just like, oh yeah, the disdain for retail workers.
Yeah, which is not, it's so mean because Kmart, I
Yeah.
worked at Target.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
the-
job. But I
it-
remember like Kmart
Back.
being like terminally uncool
But
when
that's
we were
it.
Oh,
kids,
sure.
right?
When she threatens Mary Gross, saying that she's gonna end up
Yeah.
Yeah.
announcing the blue light
Right,
special.
but like, why is that? That's a
But
job.
why is
It's
that-
not? Yeah.
why is that a worse-
punishment?
Why is
fate
that
in life
fate
than
worse
to
than death?
volunteer
Yeah.
for like the wilderness girls?
That's right, because it was terminally uncool at the time.
Sure. I'm just
Kmart was.
You'd be
not.
embarrassed to walk into a Kmart. Whereas now, like I remember then going to college.
Well,
and
now
being
there's
like,
not
we
any
shopped at
anymore.
Kmart.
And now it's like, I was like, oh, Kmart's got some affordable shit. I don't want to pay too much money for like,
I need some curtains and a bath mat.
But
exactly.
all of my college clothes, like when I first moved to New York, I went on a shopping spree at Kmart and bought like $200 worth of
So much stuff.
Yeah, they're all gone
And
now.
Kmart at Astor Place was like where I would go all
Oh,
the
shit.
Oh,
time.
see, the one near Penn Station was so convenient to just taking the train back home.
It was the only place that had a Slurpee in all of New York for
Yep.
years.
Yep.
Yeah, before
Years.
7-Eleven came in. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
We've reached that time. We're done talking
Yeah.
about
I know.
We're not even talking about
Yeah.
other movies. We're talking about specific and closed location in New
Yeah,
York City.
unless you want to hear me
Good job.
bitch about Robert Moses for the next hour, yeah, let's not get on this thing. But so yeah, you know what? Fun, but
Fun with an asterisk that says Bryce is no fun.
well, I don't know. I just
It's fine. I like.
You know
I like
what?
my
You know
asterisk.
what?
It's fine. It's fine.
This
it's fine.
movie is like glamping. That's what we want. We
I
just
no.
want-
I
this
don't
was
even want to
glamping
go
before
glamping. I
glamping
just
was a
wanna
thing.
I just want to stay in a hotel, people.
Exactly. That's what they teach you.
Yeah.
Who needs to go camping? Just go find a good room in a hotel.
I like glamping.
We went glamping on Governor's Island. It was a treat.
It was
But
great.
why?
We paid way too much for s'mores in a little box. You got one marshmallow and
Oh my
But
you
what is
know,
the appeal of that over like a hotel?
the view of the city.
the view of the city at night is pretty
You know
cool.
what? There's plenty of hotels with a rooftop bar.
I just
And,
like
like,
the idea of
Tempur-Pedic
being on
mattress.
Governor's Island when nobody else is. Like
Yeah.
it's like you feel
do
secret.
that, and then you can go sleep at a hotel where you
Yeah.
don't be
The
sleeping
bed,
on the
but
ground.
these are actual beds. You're not on the ground.
Okay,
It's
but you're
glamping.
still outside and you still don't have like plumbing.
No, you do have plumbing. They had toilets and showers.
But are they like private, nice heated
You can get
floors?
one.
They're more expensive, but they have like private.
I
they
had
have private tents with private showers.
I had to live like in the mountains in a literal miner's cabin from 1860 for 5 months. And that is really all the outdoors that I can handle in my adult life. Like that
get
was
it.
it.
I get it.
That was
Yeah.
it.
On that note, Beverly Hills, what
It doesn't
a thrill.
rhyme.
Beverly
Hills,
Hills,
what a thrill.
Beverly Hills,
It
what a
doesn't
thrill.
rhyme.
Beverly
So
Hills,
stupid.
what a thrill.
I love the dance. The like
Just insert a little cookie time in here for the listeners.
Yes.
No friends of mine, wilderness girls, and it's cookie
time. I
It
just
was-
like some dosey dos and some treats.
Wait, no.